Tonight, I want to talk about something that has divided musicians more than almost anything I've seen in recent years: artificial intelligence. For some people, it's the future, for others, it's the end of music. I've watched the arguments online where musicians tell AI creators, "You're not a real musician. You didn't make that. You're cheating." And honestly, I think we're asking the wrong questions. Because maybe the real question isn't whether AI belongs in music. Maybe the question is whether we're willing to redefine what being a musician always meant. Welcome back to the Midnight Perspective. Tonight, let's have an honest conversation about AI, creativity, gatekeeping, and why the future of music may look different from its past. Let's begin with something simple. What exactly makes a musician? Is it playing guitar? Playing piano? Reading sheet music, producing, writing lyrics, composing melodies? Because if that's the definition, history has already complicated it. There are incredible composers who couldn't perform every instrument they wrote for. There are producers who barely sing. There are singers who don't write. There are songwriters who never perform. Film composers rely entirely on orchestras. Pop artists rely on producers. Bands rely on engineers. Music has always never been created completely alone. It's always been collaboration. So when someone says AI users aren't musicians, I have to ask, where exactly is that line? If someone writes every lyric, chooses every chord progression, directs every arrangement, revises every version, builds an emotional story, are they really doing nothing? Or are they simply using a different instrument? History is full of people saying that's not real music anymore. Electric guitars were criticized, synthesizers were criticized, drum machines, sampling, digital recording, auto-tune, DAWs replaced tape, MIDI replaced expensive studio musicians in many situations. Every technological leap frightened someone, not because technology was evil, but because change is uncomfortable. Now AI has become the newest target, and maybe that's understandable, but I also think we have to be careful, because history has a habit of rewarding people who learn new tools, not the people who spend all their energy pretending those tools don't exist. Here's where things get controversial. I think some musicians have confused protecting art with protecting their position. Those are not always the same thing. When someone says you're not a real musician because you used AI, sometimes they're really saying you didn't struggle the way I struggled. And I understand that feeling. Learning an instrument takes years. Songwriting takes discipline. Recording takes patience. Those skills deserve respect. But respect for traditional musicians shouldn't require disrespecting emerging creators. Art isn't a private club. No one owns creativity. And throughout history, gatekeeping has always almost slowed innovation rather than protecting excellence. Now let me be clear. I don't believe AI has emotions. It doesn't experience heartbreak. It doesn't fall in love. It doesn't lose a parent. It doesn't pray. It doesn't cry. People do. And that's why I don't believe AI replaces artists. It amplifies what artists choose to express. If the lyrics come from your heart, if the concept came from your imagination, if the emotional direction came from your experiences, the technology didn't create your story. It helped you tell it. To me, that's still artistry. One thing I've learned watching creative industries, the people who survive aren't always the most talented. They're usually the most adaptable. Photography changed, filmmaking changed, publishing changed, graphic design changed, music is changing too. That doesn't mean traditional skills become worthless, quite the opposite. People who understand music theory, composition, arrangement, performance, and production may become even more valuable because they'll know how to guide these tools with intention. The future may not belong to AI, and it may not belong to musicians who reject AI entirely. It may belong to people who understand both. What worries me isn't the technology, it's the hostility. We become so quick to decide who deserves to call themselves an artist. Maybe instead we should judge art by what it makes people feel. Did it move someone? Did it comfort someone? Did it inspire someone? Did it tell the truth? If it did, maybe that's more important than how every note was created. Every generation inherits new tools. Some people build walls around the past. Others build bridges into the future. I still believe music is one of the greatest forms of human expression. And I don't think technology changes that. The instrument may evolve, but the desire to create, to tell stories, to worship, to grieve, to celebrate, that's timeless. Maybe being a musician has never been defined by the tool in your hands. Maybe it's always been defined by the heart behind the creation. Thank you for spending this night with me. Whether you're holding a guitar, sitting at a piano, working inside a digital audio workstation, or experimenting with AI for the very first time, keep creating, because the world has enough critics. What it will always need is more people willing to create. This is the Midnight Perspective, and sometimes the future belongs to those who not to those who fear change, but to those who learn how to create with it.